And we are live. Good afternoon, Crypto Warriors. Welcome back to the Gym of Crypto, episode 472. Today is Wednesday, September 18th, and I am King, here to bridge the gap between community and crypto, of course, daily, Monday through Friday. And today we will be talking about Alt Season 2.0, as they call it now. Ethereum and XRP post 20% gains, Litecoin and more up 10%. Get ready for Bitcoin 20K, says BitMEX CEO as Fed panic prints $53 billion. North Korea in early stages of building own cryptocurrency. Department of Justice brings extortion charges against early advisor to Ethereum T0, and messaging app Line's crypto exchange goes live for 80 million users in Japan. A lot of great stuff going on in the crypto space. A lot of entertainment as always. I mean, you heard the story about the guy who had the extortion case. I mean, a lot of good stuff going on today. Of course, we're going to talk about it all. Quick shout outs. What's going on, Shed and Allen? Good day to you. Crypto and Culture. Glad you made it. Oh, you know it's about to be lit. Come on. Donald Muhammad. Yes, smash that like and share. What's going on, Madam Crypto? Shit. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so top story. Let me pull up this article, Kim. Or not top story, excuse me. Checking out these prices. Again, it's one of those things where everyone's going crazy. You know what? It's a good thing because it is like a slow time in crypto right now. You know, the price has kind of been stagnant, even though it's pretty high, but it's not at the all-time high. Everybody wants to see it go back to 20K, of course. So yeah, when you see these swings as we normally see, which is the normal part of crypto, where you see 10, 14%, 20%, 30% all within a matter of a day or two, it gets people excited because they haven't seen it in a while. So I'm glad people are getting excited. I think it's a little bit too early still to make some of these calls out there. We still don't know what's going to happen when back opens and a couple other things next week. But I love the excitement. So with that, Bitcoin of all things, though, is at the same price, $10,206. It is down 0.05%, so we know that's not much. Ethereum is at $212, up 0.18%. Litecoin at $78.86, up 4.45%. XRP is at 31 cents. There we go. Up 0.96 or 10% already on it. And Bcash, $328, up 1.45%. So again, this is one of those things, you know, if you are a Ripple person and you were buying it as of the recent last couple of weeks when it was sliding down to like 23 or excuse me, 24, 25 cent or whatever, you could have had a big gain. But again, it was one of those things. Did we see it coming? Of course not. For the most part, everyone out there charting, I'm sure, will say they will. But yeah, I mean, some of the top stories out today: Alt Season 2.0, Ethereum and XRP post 20% gains, Litecoin and more up 10%. You know, this story just kind of goes until how quiet alts have been so far in 2019. People, you know, as they say here, pessimistic crypto traders considering that alt season may finally be upon us. And again, it is a lot of Twitter. I can't even say the word right now. A lot of tweets going on Twitter about this all being altcoin season 2.0. I think actually Crypto Blood mentioned something about it too. So shout out to him. It looks great. But again, for me, it's still early. And again, you see this one tweet here: enjoy your alts, but remember, there's a big chance that this alt season won't last that long. Bitcoin probably going to F things up into November. In my opinion, it's still aiming for that 78. It's still aiming for that 78% dominance. So, yeah, I mean, hey, we'll see what happens. Again, it's exciting to see some movement in the industry, you know, on the prices in general. We know a lot of people like to see that. That's what attracts them to the space. So we'll see what happens with this altcoin. What's going on, Tiffany from New York, Tessa Hall, Tommy Brown, Sergeant Crypto. But while people are talking about alt season 2.0, we already getting the Bitcoin articles out. And this one actually makes a little bit more sense because of what did just happen with the Fed and all that. But get ready for Bitcoin 20K, says BitMEX CEO as Fed panic prints $53 billion. I didn't get a chance to watch Crypto Blood's video on it yet, but I actually saw one of its titles come through for his new videos came out today. And I know he's talking about this as well. And he has a little bit of a background. I don't know, he has a traditional background on the traditional Wall Street and way more experience than me. He knows a lot of that talk on that side of things. So you might want to check out his video, get some more in depth about what's going on with the Fed printing all this money. But Looks like Bitcoin could soon shoot up to $20,000 as a result of emergency measures from the United States Federal Reserve, also known as the Fed, one of the industry's biggest firms has said. Looks like this Fed move echoes the 2008 crisis move, which, by this way, we are way overdue for. It's been very rare. The United States has gone more than 8 to 10 years without a financial crisis. So, I mean, we're already past due, which makes it even scary to think about. But in a tweet on September 18, Arthur Hayes, CEO of derivative giant BitMEX, forecast that fresh quantitative easing will further decrease faith in fiat currency. The comments come a day after the Fed swooped to decrease interest rates on some loans, which reached more than 10% or 4 times its target. More than $53 billion was pumped into the economy. He said, QE forever is coming. Once the Fed gets religion again, get ready for Bitcoin, $20,000, Hayes wrote. And I mean, honestly, you can already see a reflection of that on the market when we talk about altcoins right now. That could have something to do with it. You know, a lot of people who do want to move money or carry money away from the traditional market, the first thing they're looking at is altcoins because they always say Bitcoin is too expensive, which is crazy. Everyone thinks the price of Bitcoin right now, well, you know, people who have been in it know it's lower or not as high as it could possibly go. We've seen that already. But to a lot of people, this is their first time investing or they're moving money. They're looking at one asset that has it costs $10,000 per token because they think they had to buy a whole, and then a lot of negative press around it. So of course they're gonna go to some of these altcoins. Plus the altcoins have all the cool marketing schemes, Lamborghinis, all that fun stuff is where, you know, you get all that in altcoins. So it's a very attractive thing to do or to invest in if that's the first thing you're seeing. What's going on, Mr. Gibson? Good evening to you, sir. But yeah, a very interesting thing about this move for the Fed too is have the market share of Bitcoin. So, you know, $53 billion, a private firm is printing that. And again, people wonder why everyone wants to use cryptocurrency. So a lot of comments on this article. Pretty cool to see this. And hey, we know by the end of the year for sure something is going on. And then what's happening next year, the halvening as well. All of this lines up to, again, become a big conspiracy theory one day, right? All right, report. North Korea is in the news. Looks like they're in the early stages of developing their own cryptocurrency. Something we mentioned in the past. It's not just North Korea. We know Iran wants to create something. Who else? Russia has looked at creating something. I mean, technically the U.S. as well with the Fed now coin or whatever they're trying to develop. So all the countries want to develop their own cryptocurrencies. We talked about this yesterday. It's like them all developing their own intranet because it's going to be the same as the money they already have in fiat currency that's in the bank that's digital right now. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense for them to do their own cryptocurrency. The point of a cryptocurrency in the sense of financial means for something like government is so people have transparency of everything. So maybe all the countries create their own and only use it internally, you know, amongst government workers, military and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't see it catching on mainstream. But it looks like North Korea is reportedly in those early stages of developing a crypto similar to Bitcoin to, of course, evade sanctions. According to a Vice News report on September 18th. Oh, if it's Vice News, you got to trust them, people. You know they go into those war zones all the time. I saw them with some warlord somewhere eating hearts. I saw a few Vice things. So if Vice is in there, while I know they probably have a hipster covering it, they're probably in some war-torn country asking the most obvious questions like, so you don't eat every day. All right, okay, well, it makes sense. But Vice News reported on September 18th, the project is designed to help the Democratic People's Republic of Korea evade international sanctions and find a way around the U.S.-dominated global financial system. It looks like they said they're in the early stages of creation of the token, and they're in a phase of studying the goods that will give value to it. No plans to digitize the North Korea won for now. Something that we always talk about is that if it's in the news already, they probably already created it or are well on their way to creating it. And if, hey, North Korea is going to do it, Iran's going to do it, the U.S. is going to do it, Russia's going to do it, every country is going to try to do it because all they see is dollar signs behind it. So no new news here. But even if they were to try to make it to avoid sanctions, it would just open up an entire industry of ways to trace what coins go to what countries from where, that somebody can sell their software to the government. So somebody will become a billionaire from this move as well. Shannon Allen said, Key is watch out for the people trying to make quantum to try to break Bitcoin. Got to make sure Bitcoin is quantum resistant. Actually, they did a special on quantum computing. It's on YouTube. I can't remember which channel did it. It was like asking a range of people about quantum computing from like elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and so on and so forth. But one of the main principles of quantum computing too is that as people create it, it's also like it's going to be used for good as much as for bad. So even if someone could try to figure out how to use it to break Bitcoin, someone else is going to be working on the other end saying, all right, how can we use this to make the blockchain even stronger? So it balances out, but I mean, who knows? We'll see, right? What's going on, Andre Durden? Clarence Dennison, what's going on? Clarence Dennison said, what in the Sam Hill happened this morning? Listen, it's crazy right now, right? The Fed's printing money, altcoin season is back. XRP said they want that $3 mark again in the CNBC headline, and all is well in the crypto space, right? All right, here was an interesting story. Definitely had to bring up. Department of Justice brings extortion charges against early advisor to Ethereum T0. His name is Stephen Neroff, who's been charged by U.S. law enforcement. Again, early adopter of the Ethereum project and a former paid advisor to Overstock's T0 with extortion. That's actually pretty funny. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. Like, U.S. law enforcement need to go check out the SEC and what they're doing right now. But it looks like Neroff, an attorney and founder of blockchain consulting firm Alchemist, was arrested Wednesday morning by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. The FBI kicked them doors in and was scheduled to face charges before a federal court in Brooklyn in the afternoon. The FBI also arrested Michael Halady, an Alchemist associate. So basically what happened in this story is he was an advisor for an ICO. He was supposed to get a set amount of money. As the ICO either started going on, I don't know if they officially had launched it or they were beginning it and launched it. Whatever happened, he started wanting more money. Of course, they pushed back and he was like, hey, if you don't give me more money, I'm going to ruin your ICO. Allegedly, this is all in the article. You can read this on CoinDesk. And of course, those folks from the ICO who are being identified as Jane and John Doe, of course, gave that information to the FBI and was like, hey, arrest this guy. And they did. What's interesting is that when I see things like this and the speed of it happening is people got friends in high places, all right? It's crazy, you know. I don't know what goes on in people's heads sometimes, but people know people these days. Like it's not 7 degrees of separation anymore. It's like 4 degrees. People hop on Facebook and say, my uncle is friend with FBI agent, and you're pressing them for extra money. So it looks like that's kind of what happened here. Again, before the ICO occurred, Neroff demanded higher compensation from Company One executives, identified as Jane and John Doe. Through an email he sent to the company's executives, Neroff demanded 30,000 Ethereum if the pre-sale and crowd sale surpassed 60,000 Ethereum, in addition to a large allotment of the Company One's ICO token, the complaint says. So I actually get what he's saying, but he should have written that to the contract. I'm not sure what went on with the contract, but this is something that should have been discussed beforehand. I'm not sure if it was or it wasn't. But again, it says here, he said if he didn't get his money, he was going to sabotage the crowd sale, generate negative press for Company One, and use his contacts with influential people to destroy Company One, the Department of Justice alleged. So again, this is one of those white collar, this is violence in the white collar community. They won't personally hurt you, but they're going to hurt your pockets, which to some people that's even worse. So again, another day in cryptocurrency though, right? Let's see what's going on. Cryptonomics. What's going on? Veritasium. The volume looks all dried up now. Listen, that's what a Fed case would do. You don't believe me? You know, ask Irv Gotti and Murder Inc. back in the day. Ja Rule. You know, they said they didn't go down because of 50. They went down because they had a Fed case at the time. So it's the same thing we talk about. We talk about the construction and the trucking. Like you get a federal case, a lot of that, especially you talk about if it's corporate interference, is literally just to slow you down. It's to slow you down. You remember a day or two after they did everything to Veritasium, all these other gold projects launched here and abroad. So it's a part of the game. What's going on in Trek? PFC Will said, here's why the North Korea thing doesn't make sense. They could just jump on the SIP system China has in place now. It's to counter the SWIFT. Exactly. Again, I think North Korea is being shaped up, being propped up right now to be the terrorist baby that all Bitcoin and crypto haters need to try to destroy it. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. Sergeant Crypto said, and then eventually they will all come back to Bitcoin. And Antonopoulos already stated this, just like you guys. He's from the future. Oh, yeah. I know. I saw him in the year 3000, man. It was crazy. Dry Dessert, what's going on? Said this will most likely come up on our radar soon. The German government has released an official blockchain strategy paper, digital securities, stocks, pro ICO, pro smart contract. Wow. Speaking of that, I have to say the craziest thing I just saw. I was rushing home. I was in traffic. It was crazy traffic today in LA. I mean, it's always crazy traffic, but I do a good job kind of avoiding it. And then I had to get over here to do the show. So, all right, I'm running around the city. I'm like, wow, the traffic. Somebody told me, I guess the president's here, so the traffic stopped. But amidst all the chaos, what do I see as I'm driving through Beverly Hills? Oh, but a Gemini sign that says, it said crypto, taking out the chaos for you. Something. It's like crypto taking out the chaos or whatever. But it had the Gemini sign, and I was like, wow, bravo to the Gemini twins. It's really the first billboard I think I've seen for crypto in LA, and especially in a very popular area. So to see it that big on the side of a shopping center area, shout out to Gemini. I see what you're doing. It was even crazier. The place they put it at, and this is probably the marketing team, but still, the place they put it at, like I said, it was crazy. I was just sitting in traffic. It's chaos. It's people coming from everywhere. It's a mall nearby. It's just a lot going on. So for them to put a crypto sign there that says crypto something amongst chaos, like helping you navigate amongst chaos right there. Oh, that was a good touch, Gemini. I saw what you did there. I applaud it. I'm not even a hater, all right? Oh, man. Let's see what else we have going on. Mr. Gibson Sr. said, that's funny. They mad because people are doing what they've been doing for years. Exactly. I mean, this is a game, people. Blue Figs laughing, said violence in the white collar community. This is, man, this business stuff. That's why they always call them sharks. It's hilarious. Shannon said they're also doing Gemini ads in Miami, also on the mass transit. They're doing it all in big cities. Okay, cool. Well, hey, at the end of the day, base it, right? More people come to crypto. Even if they start off at Gemini, look how excited they'll get when they find out they can lower their fees by not even using the exchange, right? So more to come. All right, last but certainly not least, big story of the day, messaging app Line. Crypto exchange goes live for 80 million users in Japan. Again, we've been talking about Line now for the last year or so when they first announced it. But messaging app Line has officially launched a cryptocurrency exchange for its 80 million users based in Japan, days after the platform received final regulatory approval. Again, 80 million users, people, in Japan. That is a very large percentage of the country. The Shinjuku-based messaging provider, which is 73.36% owned by South Korea's Navar, said in a statement on Tuesday that the new exchange, dubbed BitMax, hilarious. So everybody really just out here jacking off their haze. Hey, man. Everybody want to be one, but don't want to be one. It's crazy, right? No, it's now live with trading of 5 crypto assets: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. According to the statement, the service was introduced in stages from 3 p.m. Japan time on Tuesday and is available first on Android devices. It can be accessed via the wallet tab on a Line mobile app, and it's also integrated with Line Pay to provide an easier Japanese yen fiat on-ramp process. This is actually huge, people. This is crazy. 81 million active users in Japan, 164 million globally. Like I said, I've been to Tokyo a few times, and my gouge that I got, my tips of travel was just like, hey, you definitely want to download Line if you plan on talking to anyone in countries. Like, that's what you're going to use. So I downloaded for them to already have an app where literally you're being told before you get on the plane, if you come visit this country, you're going to want to download this. TripAdvisor, everywhere, hotels, all that stuff says it. So you have just organic sources that just feeding you basically customers. And then you launch your own exchange, and you basically put it on the app itself so you can access your wallet. You can access your funds to your bank, to your wallet, and to the exchange all in one place. This is what we're talking about when they say making crypto easy. That's definitely making it easier. And it's one of those things where when people hear about it and they see it, and they see days like today where it's altcoin season 2.0 and the US Fed is doing this and all this stuff is in the air, why not say, hey, I have $50 in this one wallet of my whatever bank account. Why don't I just put $20 here over these different cryptos that cost 31 cent like XRP and see what happens. That's how you get mass adoption, in my personal opinion. That's one of the ways. Of course, there's many ways, but that's one of the main ways. So shout out to Line. Again, it's a big company. We see that. But from my personal experience with them, from what I've seen, they actually do a pretty good job. So it's not a company I'm gonna throw shade at. They've done a good job. Of course, they're gonna have a strict know your customer process in place. But also, if you use Line, is one of those things they probably already have most of your information anyhow. But again, it's a way forward to mass adoption. Pretty cool to see while people are waiting on subways in Shinjuku or Roppongi, they can pull out their phone and trade Bitcoin and crypto. So it is another big base hit. Dry Dessert said, if you go to Japan, do not shoplift. Hilarious. I watched a video with a lawyer. The police can basically jail you for a year until you confess. That is rough. Goes for any minor crime. That is true. Japan is the place, with the exception, this is the worst part, with the exception of the tourist areas, like the heavily party kind of tourist areas where you get a lot of, Brits or Americans. Unfortunately, that's where they kind of point the finger at. And some African countries as well, the Nigerians there. But in most places, they say you can just literally leave your wallet on the street or on a counter, come back the next day and be there, with the exception of those touristy places. But very interesting to see that. So you're right about that. I like that about Japan. Discipline is what they have. Let's see. Tiffany from New York said New York City MTA is flooding the trains. All right, so that is the show for the day. Again, a lot going on in the cryptocurrency. The Fed is hiking things up, cutting things, printing money. We'll see how that affects Bitcoin. This is the moment we've been waiting for. If this is that event where, the financial collapse or the crash or another crisis or threat of crisis, really, it doesn't even have to be anything. The threat of it, the threat of a big crisis, because if you remember, 2008 was bad, but they claimed they avoided an international crisis by bailing the banks out. That was their reasoning, right? So as bad as 2008 and the years, after that were, to the government standpoint, even though they're all in bed with the banks, but still their reasoning, the narrative was that, hey, we actually saved everyone from a Great Depression type of deal. It's a recession, but it's not a depression or a Great Depression, right? So it's one of those things where we'll see that here. Will it go to that point of becoming a recession or a depression? Who knows? But again, just the threat of it. And that's what we really saw before. We saw the threat of a depression, a threat of a Great Depression that caused a lot of things to change. So if we get that same type of threat here this time, they can try to boost North Korea up and Iran and Bitcoin and all the other terrorist things and whatever thing that can take your mind off the money. Remember, the point is to take your mind off the money. It's for you not to think about the money. So they'll try every trick in the book to take your mind off the money. But at the end of the day, the market is going to respond as it always has. And this time, if there is a crisis or a threat of a crisis, Bitcoin very well may hit that 20K and just take off. So we shall see what's going on. With that, last couple of shout outs. We're going to Leroy Forbes, Malik Howard. As always, if you like this, make sure you smash that like and share. And I will see you all tomorrow at 3ish. Cheers.